After Torah Vadas, Rabbi Shapiro went on to Sarah Shnera, Beis Yaakov Academy of Flatbush. He was the head of Vina Camp and the Vina Moistos for a while. But where he left the biggest impact was probably the Beis Yaakov Borough Park, where he was the administrator and built up the Moisid into what it is today for the past 30 years. At present, he's a guest lecturer in the seminaries in Yerushalayim. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rabbi Yeruchom Shapiro.
AGUDATH, SHMUEL, Rabbonim that are known to be Amudim of YISROEL. Actually, I should be here listening to them, not them to me. We read in the Parshas of the Torah, the segments that plant Emunah, plant Chesed, plant Emes, and the Navi cries out, Habitu Lavam Avichem Losot Chalelchem. They and their children, the Shiftei Kor, are the foundation of how we are to act. And in the first chapter of the Torah, we learn about the creation of the world. And it is interesting to note, as you know, that the Rabbi Shalom created all species. And the Torah tells us, Vayar Elokim Kitoiv. The insects get a kitoiv, the monkey gets a kitoiv, the elephant gets a kitoiv, the tiger gets a kitoiv, and etc., and etc. You all get a kitoiv, with the exception of man. On all the other things, the Rabbi Shalom examines the creation, his work, and he says, Kitoiv. But not so with man. Rabbi Yosef Albo in the Sefer Yikarim explains that every element of creation is a finished product. When the Rabbi Shalom creates an insect, an elephant, an orange, an apple, a tree, it becomes what it is. The stature will not change, and therefore it can be declared as good. However, man is always in a state of potential. The Gemara in Brachos Yud Zayin tells us that when our Chachamim took leave from each other, they would say, Olamecha tira b'chayecha. May you see your world in your lifetime. Rav Schwab interprets this very beautifully. The word Olamecha is cognate with Ha'elimecha, the part of you that is still hidden. A person's world is the part that has not yet seen the light of day. That part that is still his potential. What he still has to strive for. What he still has to achieve. It is the work of a lifetime. And this is the bracha that Chachamim wished each other. May you see your world in your lifetime. May you achieve in your lifetime your full potential that the Rabbi Shalom wants from you. And yes, this is what we have to strive for. This is what we have to try to achieve, and to achieve as much as possible. We read in the Torah, in the rebellion that Korach had with Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Rebbeinu Shalom tells Moshe Rabbeinu that he should take 12 staffs and place them in the Oel Moed. And the Torah said there was a Perach, and then there was a Tzitz, and then there were Shkedim. By Yigmo Shkedim, that's what the Pasuk says. all this in the Oil Moed. However, the Rashbam says that not all of this happened in the Oil Moed. Only the first part took part in the Oil Moed. But the rest of it was outside of the Oil Moed, where everybody could see. And I think it was the Gates of Rosh Yeshiva who asks, if that is the case, leave everything outside. Put all the staffs outside, let everyone see the entire process, and everybody's going to see what's happening over here. And he says, no. Everything depends on the Yanika. If the Sheirish, the Yanika, was Bikdusha, then everything else takes a different form. This is a lesson in raising children, a lesson in business, and a lesson what anyone does. If the Sheirish, if it has a Yanika of Kedusha, then whatever you do takes upon itself a different form. And there's another lesson that we could say from here also. What happened over here? And after this, what does the Torah tell us? The staffs were there. And everybody saw that who was the winner? The winner was Aaron. And then, everyone went and took their staff. Question is why? They saw who was the winner. Perhaps if you buy, let's say, a lottery ticket, you take a look at the numbers, and it's not your numbers, so what do? You crumble it up and you throw it away. You lost. You didn't win. Over here also, what did they take the staff for? They saw that Aaron was the winner. It's not them. But Chazal tell us, what do they do with these staffs? These staffs, each one went, took it home, put it over the fireplace in their home to show their children, to show the family, look what I was willing to give up. I be to be in that Shevet. I be to be in that, from those people who could do the Agudah in the Beis HaMikdash. Look what I was willing to give up. Everything. I be to be from the Am HaNivchar. Give up my home, give up my possessions, just to work in the Beis HaMikdash. That matter that everybody looked at, saw, it said everything. It shows what was important. It's not like a worthless lottery ticket. It's something to show the family, something that you're willing to give up. And this is what we have to set examples for, to show what is important, everyone in their own way. One of the greatest milas of Klal Yisrael is chesed. What is chesed? Chesed is caring for others. And there are many aspects of caring for others. It is thinking of others. It is helping someone monetarily. It is thinking of others. And sometimes all it is, can't say all, it's important. It is giving time. Just to give time for someone. I just told the Rabbi Obam, when I was schmoozing, I said to him, we were speaking about chinuch, I said, what was the godless of Yosef? What was godless of Yosef? And everybody knows that Yosef was in jail, and there were two other cellmates in jail with him, and they had a dream, and he looked at them, and what did he see? He saw that their face was not like yesterday. Something is bothering them. Something is different. Sometimes you go by and you take a look. You take a look at a friend. You take a look at someone else and you see that his face is not like it was yesterday. What a chesed. and speaking to the other person, is something bothering you? That was the godless of Yosef. You all know the history. Just by looking at somebody else's face and feeling that there's something bothering the other person. How often we could seize that moment and we miss that opportunity. What a difference we could make in somebody's life. What does it take to say good morning to somebody? What does it take to say to someone, have a good day? No matter who it is. Even if it's a child that you meet, say good morning. And even to a goy. It leaves a relation. And the pasuk says, "K'maseh et Yitzrayim lo'isasu." I think one of the Rabbeim, the Ger Rabbeim, once asked, why does it say "K'maseh et Yitzrayim"? The Torah should have written "Maseh et Yitzrayim lo'isasu." Why the chaf? Why didn't he that? And I think he answered that in the course of a day, we do so many pu'ulos which are the same pu'ulos that the goy does. Same things. We eat, he eats, we walk, he walks, we talk, he talks. What's the difference? The difference is says a Yid eats like a Yid, and he speaks like a Yid. Whatever he does is in a different realm. And that's why it says Kemaseh. You're doing the same masim. You're doing the same thing that he does. But you have to do it differently. And it leaves a relation. And even on going, like I said, you also have to leave a relation. Let me just tell you a very interesting story. I don't think it has ever been published, but I've said it over to many people. Everybody knows that Rapam and Shuvu were like one. This was his baby, Rapam's baby. And every year there would be a parlor meeting, and on a Shuvu, Rapam would come and speak. Either it was someone's house, or very often by Rabbi Weinberg, or wherever it was. And I remember when he already wasn't feeling well, I remember even one time when they brought him in an ambulance to the house, he would not give up coming to the Shuvu gathering and just saying a few words. I think it was about a year or so before our farm passed away. They also had a parlor meeting set in someone's house. And of course it was advertised all over the Shuvu parlor meeting, everybody should come and everybody should go there. It was about a day or two before the parlor meeting, and the doctors did not permit Rapam to go out of his house. Too difficult. They wouldn't permit him to go out of the house. And they told out to Rapam, but he was very disturbed, so he was adamant about it. He didn't want to give it up. And he says, no, we're going to have the parlor meeting, but we're going to have it in my house. We're going to have it in his house. Nope. How do you let everybody know? 2 days. So, of course, right away they went to the printing places, and they printed up signs, change of address, the Shuvu Parlor meeting will be in the house of Rapam, and they took these signs and they hung it up on every telephone pole, every electric pole, every gate, all the way wherever you went through the streets. You saw a change of address for the Shuvu Parlor meeting, it will be in the house of Rapam. I think it was the day of that morning of the parlor meeting. Rapam was able to walk over to his front window, and he looked out, and something bothered him terribly. And he calls over his Rebbe and says, come over, I have to tell you something. Do me a favor. Go to our neighbor next door and tell them that no way did Rapam authorize the hanging of signs on somebody else's property without permission. Let him know that it's not Rapam who gave permission to somebody. Because tell him that Rapam would never permit to hang something on somebody else's property and somebody else's gate without asking for permission. My neighbor, she had to go. And she goes next door. Who lived next door? A big Schwarz Afro-American with the next door neighbor. And she knocks on the door, and he comes to the door. He says, Mrs. Palm, what are you doing here? He says, Rav Palm sent me to apologize to you. He's looking at him. You know that he would never let anyone hang something on somebody else's property without asking permission by that person. And he wants to apologize to you that no way did he authorize the hanging of any signs on someone else's property without asking permission. And he says to her, Mrs. Palm, could you walk into my house? And maybe she had to go in. She walks in, and she walks into his dining room, and there's a big picture hanging of Rav Palm. And he says to her, he's not only your rabbi, he's also my rabbi. I've been watching him for years. You don't have to apologize to me. Look at the Rishon on a goy. The Rishon he had on everybody. Not talking on Bnei Torah, not talking even on the goy. It's important for everybody to see. Miki Amcha Yisrael. And chesed is sometimes just a small act. There were two Bochum who once came late to a shir by Rabban, and they noticed that there were no more chairs in the shir room. Each one went out, get a chair from somewhere in the hallway, in the other room, and bring it in. And Rabban said to them, oh, each one of you could have been about chesed, could have been brought a chair for the other one. Just thinking of it. Or like Mendelovich had in a similar case, in a similar thing that the founder of Torah, he told someone in a similar situation, he said, if you bring one chair, you're a schlepper. If you bring two chairs, you're a Baal Chesed. It's all in the mindset. If you give tzedakah, you give it with a smile. Do you think the other person enjoys knocking on doors? Give it with a smile. Wish him hatzlacha. Wish him a good day. What a difference it makes. It's chesed, but you have to seize that moment of chesed. How often do we hear even a real estate agent schleps around somebody looking for homes, and finally they find something, and then when it comes close and he likes it, he goes to the person who owns the house and says, you know what, how long is this house still with the broker? And he makes up with him, we'll wait up. We'll wait up. We'll save the broker fee, you'll save money. What about this person who was schlepping him around? Sunday after Sunday, giving up of his time. That doesn't count. Agreed to make a few dollars. After the Skolana Rebbe was in Bucharest, it was before Pesach. It's a story I think that may be known already. And the Skolana Rebbe decided that he's going to bake matzahs for all the Rabbeim who were in the camps. How much matzah does he bake? He's going to bake matzahs and give every Rebbe one matzah. One matzah. Good. All of a sudden, one day there's a knock on the door, and the Gabbai of the Vision Rebbe comes and it says, what? What? Okay, the secretary comes and he says, Rebbe, I wasn't there. Rebbe, zwei matzahs. And the Gabbai says, zwei matzahs? Can't. Not shire. We're not going to have for everybody. No, so he went back. Went back to the Rebbe, whoever it was. And he says, the Gabbai said the Kiddush. You don't have enough? He says, go back and say, the Rebbe got zwei matzahs. Nope. He goes. The Gabbai is a Gabbai, he has to go. Goes back, and tells the escort, good. Tells him again, so he had no choice, he gave him two matzahs. Okay, Mamish, Erev Pesach, right before Pesach, The Vizhnitzer Rebbe's Gabbai is back again, and he's carrying one matzah. He says, what is this? He said, the Rebbe needs 2 matzahs. He says, no, the Rebbe, whoever it was, wanted to make sure that his Kulena Rebbe will have at least 1 matzah for himself. That's thinking of somebody else. Thinking of the other person. I tell over, I think of, maybe I have it correct this time, the Shvila Rebbe was sitting in jail. Have I told it sitting in jail, and he was together in jail with a cellmate. They were in jail, I think it was 7 years that he was sitting in jail. And all of a sudden, a high officer comes in, and he comes in and he says to the Shvila Rebbe, sign this paper, and you're free to go. The Rebbe thinks, and he says, I can't. Shabbos. I can't sign the paper. I'm not going to sign. He says, I'm telling you, sign the paper, and you're free to go. He says, I can't sign the paper like this in Shabbos. Okay? You don't want to sign? Sit here, and you're going to rot over here. Comes back just a little bit later, and goes over to the other person, to the cellmate, an alter yid who was over there. He says, there's a paper. Sign the paper, and you're free to go. And this alter yid also starts thinking, I can't. It's like Shabbos. I can't sign it. Here's that, and he jumps up and says, I'll sign for him. He looked at him and said, what's shot your sign for him? Just said that you can't sign on Shabbos. He says, I think I could still make it. He's an old person. I don't know if he could make it. The Kuach Nefesh. I'll sign for him. The officer was so flabbergasted after hearing this. He says, you're both free to go. But what is this? This is all thinking about us. You're here as a tzibur. You come together as a tzibur. You do chesed as a tzibur. You're known to think of the other person. And a tzibur has tremendous chusim. And the Ben Shalom has different cheshbonos with the tzibur than with Yechidim. Remember my father's at Sal telling us very often the reason that we were saved, we happened to go through Japan after the war, during the war. The reason we were saved, because he always says, because he never separated himself from the tzibur. Always stayed with that part of the Mir Yeshiva that was in Japan, part of them were in Shanghai, but never separated himself from the tzibur. The Rebbeinu Shalom has different things, how he works around with the tzibur. In the Beis HaMikdash, it says it was Eindim Tzafufim u'Mishtachavim Levachim. When they stood, it was crowded. And when they bent down, there was more room. And someone once said, I may have heard it once, maybe from many years ago, from a friend, that when you stand up for your rights, when you're always makbid, when it's tzfufim, then it is crowded. But if it's mishtachavim, when you're willing to give, then all of a sudden, there's plenty of room. Then it is levachim. It's spending for others, giving of your time, giving money to help others, caring for others, thinking of others, thinking of somebody else's matzah. Is it so difficult to walk by in the street and you see somebody in a wheelchair to slow down and ask him how he feels? Or it's time to slow down that he shouldn't think, that person, Baruch Hashem is walking, look at me. I have to be reeled. What is it after a simcha to thank the musician? To tell the caterer what a beautiful job that the caterer has done. To compliment your Rav, your Rosh Yeshiva, the principal of your children. It's all in the realms of chesed. And this is what a tzibur has to do together and think of. You come together to show chizuk. To show chizuk to your Rav, to show chizuk to your kehillah. It is all caring. And this is so countered by the Rabbeinu Shalom. He stores it away. We can't even think of the schusim it is and the repayment that everybody gets for all these things. And the Rabbeinu Shalom should give you those koches to continue. It is, like I said, thinking of others. You have to continue thinking of it. Now, to tell over, when Augustine moved over his yeshiva from Crown Heights to Rechavia, when they moved in, the Rechavim saw that he goes out and he's watering the flowers. He's watering the bushes. And the Rechavim went out to the said, Rosh Yeshiva, what are you doing? It's nishtarayach. We can do it. He says, no. He says, when it was in Vilna, when the bullets were flying, he hid under the bushes, which protected him. He has a karas hatoiv to the bushes. A karas hatoiv to the bushes. Halachas kama v'kama to people. I recall that everybody knows the story when Putna, when they hijacked this plane, and I think he was let out right before Rosh Hashanah. He was the first one to let out after a lot of hishtadlis that went on at the time. He was let out, so the Bochum made a big kabbalas ponim in the hangar in JFK Airport to greet the Rosh Yeshiva. And they had nash, and they had things that they prepared, a whole table with things, and they had an orchestra playing, to be the Kabbalah in Rosh Yeshiva. Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Moshe also came to this. He also came to this Kabbalah's fun. Rav Moshe walks in, and whatever he said about it, I'm sure he said, covered for Rosh Yeshiva and everything. He says, but why the music? Can't play music. And he looked at him. What do you mean can't play music? He said, there's still people in captivity. Good, the Rosh Yeshiva was freed. But how could you play music when people, you don't know what's going to happen to the rest of the crowd? Thinking of others. Thinking of others. And going back to certain schusim of others. And think of our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. I think they say that in Hutner's Tish on Pesach night was, you say it was Oyam and Eira. Those who were invited sat there, Ema B'Yira at the Pesach Tish Hutner. And they had one year that one bacher was invited. He was letzing around, and making jokes and everything. The Bacham had been there already, it bothered them very much. And they went to Afut and he says, Efsher Zomanim Aroshikim. This is not the way, Afut says, no. You can't send them out. Stammt von dem Alten von Slabodka. He says, Ilchov HaKoros HaToiv. Zu Slabodka will Ilchov gelernt, he says. Kann tanzen auf dem Tisch, aber kennt ihn nicht erleuchten. Thinking, just thinking of others, of thinking of other things. Grandchildren should give us that koyach to continuously think about this. And continue doing Masim Tovim for the Klal, for others they can mention, for Klal mention, to be Mechazik and Mokum Teva, to Mechazik your God, the community as a whole, the beautiful community. It should be the Shemus Yiferes Agudah.
I'm going to Baruch.